A few years ago, my wife and I bought 5 acres of off-grid land with this old cabin on it. I probably get asked more about this cabin than any other project on this channel. What am I going to do with it? And it's a very good question. There are so many hiccups and hang-ups with renovating this particular cabin. So today I'm going to go through all of the idiosyncrasies of this particular building and why it's taken years and years and we still haven't seen a renovation project on it. All of the things that I see wrong with this house that has kept me from doing anything with it. And we're going to talk about the possible ways to move forward if you have a project similar to this one. My name's Dave Whipple. You're watching Bush Radical. Now, I was very excited about this project when I first started it, but the more I've dug into it, the bigger of a pain in the neck it's got. And it just begs the question over and over. Rebuild or tear down? That's the question I've been asked a million times, and I've been asking myself for years now. Now, the setting is a big positive. Lots of big pine trees, very, very quiet area. No power out here, no phone service. Nice big backyard, big mature trees. Obviously, the property's nice, but when we dig into the cabin, we see some fundamental problems. If you look along the eave of the house here, you can see there are some areas, like right here, where the roof metal is very staggered. That's a sign that the roof metal was put on crooked. But how crooked was it put on? Hard to tell. If you look up here at the roof, you can see a metal rib coming down, gable end cover cap, and you can see that it's incredibly out of square. Now, the reason why that is important is if the house itself is built crooked, it's going to cause the roof to run out. If the building is that far out of square, everything you do rebuilding it is going to have to be out of square because the roof is out of square. It's absolutely not worth rebuilding a building that was built out of square in the first place. Not only are you going to be fighting it the entire time, when you go to put down flooring, you're going to have plywood that matches the center of the floor joist. And in a crooked building, it's always going to be running kitty corner. So from the roof, we can tell that the metal is very out of square just by looking at the end. But it's also got some staggers in it. Could be partially the building is out of square, causing the roof metal to be out of square, or the roof metal was put on so crooked in the first place that it gives the impression the building is out of square. So the out of square aspect of the building, that's a big negative. So the reason square matters so much, not only is redoing all of the floor on the inside of the building, you'd be fighting square all the time. But the roof is really the only thing that is going to be saved in the event that I do renovate this property. The roof is kind of the keeper because all of the walls need to be tore out. And while the walls are being tore out, the floor really needs to be torn out and replaced too, because even though all the floor joists are in fairly good condition, the end of the floor joists are pretty much rotted all the way around the building, at least everything that can be seen. When we tore the siding off this place last year, it exposed all of the rim joists. The rim joists are deteriorated pretty much everywhere because of the way the siding was put on. Now, the siding on this building was just rolled roofing like you would put on an old barn roof. And when the water would run down it, it would collect at the bottom of the windows, run inside behind the siding, and pool along the edge of the rim joist. Now, if you look underneath the building, you can see all kinds of weird stuff going on down here too. There's the bottom of the chimney with the chimney clean out. Here you can see all kinds of makeshift supports. Now, this is not the middle of the building. This is the middle of the span of these floor joists. So it's basically, it's all in there to take the bounce out of this floor. And it is just as hokey as it gets. So right here we've got some kind of a board, and we've got a cement block on top of another cement block, and there's a little chunk of wood in there. Then it looks like a piece of plywood or maybe a shingle or something. It is just a wreck of a mess. And this is why there needs to be that much support. This is only a 2x6. 2x6 is 24 inches on center, spanning 14, 15 feet. That is way, way, way too light of a floor. And that's why it needs all of this nonsense in there. There's not a lot of options to make the floor good and rigid. If you replaced all of the floor with 2x10s, you're going to be losing ceiling height. And it's already a very short ceiling. It's like 7 foot from the floor to the ceiling. Or you're going to have to cut this foundation down and make the floor lower. And this crawl space is already so short, it would limit the usable space underneath the building for when you do need to get underneath there. So it would be either raise the floor, lose the ceiling height, lower the foundation, and you lose some of the space underneath the building to operate when you do need to be down there, which is very minimal already, or jack up the entire building. Now, if you jack up the building, you're actually jacking up 2 buildings. This is not one construction. This half of the building was built first. It has a completely different floor. The floor is lower, and we can assume it was here first because the chimney originally would have been on the outside of the building. But now it's on the inside of this wall in probably the most annoying spot possible. Another thing to consider is this is the back corner of the house, and this is the opposite corner in the front. Front of the cabin, back of the cabin. I'm only estimating, but I'm going to guess it's 8 to 10 inches difference between the front door and the back corner. The whole house has a lean to it. So the amount of leveling that has to go into the foundation before you can even start a renovation. So it's already going to be a lot of work just to level the house and fill in over top of the metal cap that's on top of that pipe foundation with treated 2x6s and shims and whatever needs to happen to get the foundation all level before a renovation can even start. Now, jacking up this house, the wooden floor from the outside would be fairly straightforward. Just get underneath there with a couple beams, a couple bottle jacks, lift the house up and shim the top of this steel plate that acts as the cap for this pipe style foundation. But the issue with doing that and just laying up 2x8s over top of that metal tray is this goofy piece of angle iron, which is welded on top of this tray all the way around the house, and it's welded all the way around the angle iron. So that would need to be cut off in order to have a flat surface to start laying down treated 2x8s or 2x6s or whatever you're going to use to start leveling up the actual base to build off of. So if it wasn't for that piece of angle iron on there, it would not be difficult to level a wall and shim out the top of that foundation. This addition here on the end would be a little difficult because it's actually built on posts sunk into the ground. Taking off the skirting, running a beam underneath that floor system, and with a set of crib on both sides, you could jack that up as the rest of the building is being jacked up and just shim up the cribbing to support that addition. Same thing on this opposite wall. Be very easy to remove the skirting from the bottom of the cabin, get underneath it with beams and jacks, lift it up and shim it. If it weren't for the piece of angle iron that runs all the way around the building on the top of this cap. So jacking up the outside walls would not be an issue, but the problem would be the middle wall. There is a middle wall that runs the entire length of the building where the 2 sections were put together. One side of the building was there originally, the second side was added later. So while you jack the outside up, you would have to jack up the center of the building at the same time you jack up the 2 outside walls. That center wall partition runs the whole length of the building. So you'd have to jack up from here all the way to the back as you're doing the outside walls at the same time. To do that, you're going to have to rip out all of this flooring in order to get underneath there with beams and jacks. At least a 4-foot stripped flooring all the way front to back to jack up this center wall as you do the front wall and the back wall. Once you had the whole building level and the foundation shimmed out with treated 2x6s all the way around, then you could start taking out a quarter of the wall and floor at a time. I've done a lot of thinking about how that would happen because ironically, all you're really saving here is the roof. Once the floor is completely tore out and rebuilt, and the walls, of course, they need to be tore out and rebuilt, what are you left with? You're just saving the roof. This is how I would do it. I would use a jack post out here, cut the top of this wall out up to the top plate. Would probably reuse the top plates of the wall. Run a beam 10 feet in with another jack post. Make sure that the roof is supported and then tear out the wall section and the floor section. With a jack post outside the building and a jack post about 10 feet into the building, get rid of this section of floor, rebuild this section of wall, then move the whole operation down. The whole idea being support the roof while the wall is being taken out and the floor is being taken out. Redo the floor, reframe that section of wall, let the pressure off so that the roof settles back down, tie the top plate in. And of course the question becomes, is it worth doing all of that to save the roof? You can see the roof is fairly sturdy. The roof is bisected by this partition wall. So this center wall actually goes from the floor all the way up to the peak of the roof. So obviously the entire inside of the house would have to go in the event you were to remodel. You would be able to save the sheetrock on the ceiling because it's not too bad and the roof would be staying. It would save you tearing down all the sheetrock off the roof and replacing it because honestly it's not in the worst shape. It would need to be refinished, but at the end of the day you're looking at saving the roof, saving the sheetrock on the ceiling. Everything else has to go in one way or the other. Now the wall that runs down the center is covered in 1-inch board and I actually really like the look of it. So that's the reason I've been sitting on this project for years and years, is there are no good answers. There really aren't. When you're done, the way I would envision a renovation of this house, you would have reused the foundation and you would have reused the roof. You might have built everything crooked again because the whole place might be out of square. You can definitely see that the roof metal is quite a ways out of square. I've never bothered to check the house itself. And then that begs the question, do you want to reuse the foundation? Do you really want to go through all that hassle to save the roof? This house was actually free. We bought this land at market value at the time. We didn't put any value at all on the house. The house basically was a freebie with the land. Now this is a lovely building site. It's a really nice place for a cabin to be. But fixing the one that's already here, it doesn't make a ton of sense. So there is no real drive to fix this existing house. It's not like we bought the house and the land. We bought the land the house just happened to sit on. And that really begs the question at that point. Is this the spot you would want a house on this property? So let's go through some hypotheticals of what could be done to this property. First and foremost, it could be tore down and burned. There's no insulation in the roof. There's no insulation in the floor. There's very little insulation left in the walls. So to remove what insulation exists, pull the building down flat, wait until a good snow or a week of rain, burn all the materials right here on site. That's a very doable proposition. That's something that makes a ton of sense. Now, in order to do that, you're gonna have to do a couple things. You'd have to get up on the roof, remove all the roof metal, strip off all of the shingles, have a dumpster brought out, take all of the shingles and tar paper off the board roof, because it is sheeted with board, put it in the dumpster and get that out of here because you don't want to burn 7 or 8 square shingles. That's not good. Also, you want to get any insulation out of the walls into a dumpster. Everything else is flammable and it can just get torched right here. Now that would also give you a clean building site because underneath this foundation, as we've seen, it's got decades of porcupine manure. It's almost up to the floor. The hantavirus is carried by rodents. Porcupines are rodents. Hantavirus is not a thing in this area, but who wants to be the first to find out that you're wrong, that there is hantavirus in this area? That would give you not only a blank slate to work with this site, a fresh building site, but it would also clean the site of all the many years of porcupine infestation. I guess if you're going to have an infestation, porcupines they're a really cool animal. I don't mind them. I'd rather have porcupines than rats. But they have owned this property for so many years. There is literally hundreds of pounds of porcupine manure underneath this cabin. That's saying something. There's also some kind of a buried water tank right here. I don't know what this is, but you can kind of see this depression in the ground. This would have to be removed because you're never going to use it and you don't want just this hollow area. Once you've leveled the house, knocking it down flat, you'd still have to wait for a pretty decent time. Lots of snow, week of rain, something, so you can burn this place slowly and not damage all the trees because the setting is really what makes the cabin valuable. Drop the house down flat. Hit it with a lighter. One other thing that needs to be talked about is taxes. The county taxes this building right now as if it's partially finished because it doesn't have water or sewer or electricity or anything like that. That's still too dang much. Still too much. Because it's not a livable structure. It just happens to be a building, but it's not usable. If you were in my shoes and had a project like this, a tax would be a consideration. If you renovate this property, it's going to be taxed at the old rate. What it is, plus water and sewer and electricity, if you install those into a renovation. But it's going to be taxed as an old building. Whereas if you were to burn it down and rebuild, you're going to be taxed at the state equalized value per square foot of new construction, which is going to be highway frickin' robbery. So renovation is the right move from a taxation standpoint. New construction, which would be a lot better, you're going to be taxed as if it's a new home, even though it's out here in the middle of nowhere. And if you didn't have electricity, that would be a small deduction. And if you didn't have running water, that would be a small deduction, but it's still going to be a state equalized valuation. Throughout the time that you would own the building, you will pay a much higher price if you tore it down and if you rebuild it than if you renovated it. I got all this from a conversation I had with the tax assessor because I'm already paying too much money for this building just because it's a building. If I were to renovate it, I'd still be paying taxes on this crappy old building. On the other hand, if you tear the place down and build it back up, it's going to be looked at just as if it was a condo in the city. And they're going to charge you a lot of money, even though you had to do all the work to make it something other than a pile of crap. And that's why there are no good answers. Of course, one thing you could do is tear the place completely down, get this stupid structure off of your tax bill, and just wash your hands of the whole thing. That would also free you up to find another building site. That would also free up this site for, I don't know, a camping area, maybe a pavilion, maybe a pole barn, and then find another place on this property to build a small, brand new construction cabin. Maybe live out here, because it is very quiet. So I hope that this has given you some ideas of how to look at an abandoned house and the problems that you're going to run into with very unconventional construction like this particular property, and how to evaluate what are you going to save of the property and what are you going to have to renovate from the ground up, and is it going to be worth it when you're done? I hope that you've gained something from this video. This project has kind of been a thorn in my side for years, and everybody wants to know what I'm going to do with it. And to this day, I'm still not sure. I think probably the best move going forward is a foot of snow and one of these. Thank you guys so much for coming along. My name is Dave Whipple, and you've been watching Bush Radical. And be radical, eh? See you soon.